Okay, welcome back. So having listened back, the audio on the last recording was a little bit flat, so I've tweaked the microphone settings. Hopefully it'll be a little bit better on this one. We'll see at the end. Right, okay, so let's carry on from where we were the last time. Where were we the last time? We have got a furnace full of hot gas, but not hot enough to make steel. And we're relatively low on power, but not too bad. Right, there's juice in that battery. I'm going to flick those across. Right, that's at 90%. And then I'm going to get this coal and I'm going to throw it in here, and I'm going to use that through the night just to get some more power into that. Now we've got steel. If I can just get some gold smelted, and we have got some in here if I remember. I think that's gold in the corner. Then we can start to do things like build a proper battery, which will help a lot. But more importantly, we can build solar panels, which will actually generate a couple of solar panels. Is probably enough to... Why is that? What am I doing? Oh my goodness, right. That needs to go in there. That needs to go over there. Right. Let's smelt that. A couple of solar panels should be enough to be, with a base this size, reasonably self-sufficient in terms of power generation versus usage. It's not perfect, but we should be moving in the right direction. I'm actually going to try and save a bit of power though, because gold smelting is particularly energy hungry. So I'm going to eject these from here, and just hope they don't all blow away, or roll away, more to the point. Come back! Right, and then, oops, there we go, back in here. Okay, so that will become steel once we've got some heat. Now, in the meantime, let's eject this from here. Let's grab that, let's put that in there, and then hopefully this is going to... It's not even hot enough to smelt gold. Oh, how disappointing. I thought we could at least manage to do that. But no, we can't. Okay, well, we're going to have to do it this way then, aren't we? Never mind, that's a start. Right, okay, so let's grab that out of there and let's put this in here, which is what I was originally trying to do. Okay, that's enough to build a solar panel. In fact, it's enough materials to build 2 solar panels, which would be ideal. But we are going to need some heavy duty cable before we do that, otherwise we're going to burn it all out. And I also want to see whether or not we can actually build a battery. No, we need more gold. Okay, so gold is going to be the next bottleneck. So, right, well, whilst that furnace is at least hot enough to do something useful, it can remelt this, I guess. At least if it's in here, it's not cluttering up storage slots somewhere else, right? Right, and then we can just leave that to do its thing. How's this gold coming along? Slowly. We're actually going to need a fair bit of gold for electronics. So I think what we might do is go out and mine some more. This is where I would like to have got a bit more automation in place, because I'm starting to run out of spaces to quickly dump things. But there we go. That will be a job for this hour. Now there's some gold over here somewhere. There it is. Jump. I'm going to grab a ton of it because we are going to need a fair bit. We're also going to probably need some more copper. But I can't remember whether there was any over here. It's easiest to see gold in particular, but to some extent copper, and of course the Mythical Silver at dawn and dusk when the sun is low, because it makes it shine really clearly. Anyway, right, let's. That's not a good start, is it? Right, we have got a bit of space left in the backpack. Let's put those in there. Actually, I'm going to take that coal while we're here because I've just burnt the last of what we had. So if we've got any need for emergency power, we won't have any otherwise, and that will probably end badly. Right. Come on, what else you got? Let's see if we can find some more. Okay. Maybe not. Whoops! Oof. Okay, well, that was lucky. I'm glad the gravity's low. It was highly unpleasant. Right, on the other hand, there's loads of copper here, so that's good. Not that I can carry much more anyway, of course, but, you know. Oh, apparently I can carry more than I realised. Let's go. More. No. Okay, that is all, but one of those was a 32 stack rather than a 50, so that'll be fine, and then we'll grab that, and we'll grab that. 47, right, we're not going to get much closer than that. That'll keep us going for a little while. Right, that's some lead, that's worth remembering, it's quite close. Going to need that when we want to make solder. That's probably about the only thing the furnace is hot enough to make actually, but we don't really need it yet, so let's worry about that later. Look at that, perfect timing again. Get back just as the gold plops out. Right, well we may as well throw up. Oh, I could build a... Okay, well let's get some of this stuff printing. Let's get a solar panel. No, I don't want to build a second battery. One's enough for now. I mean, I do want to build a second battery, but I've only got so many resources. Right, let's put that in here for a minute. Okay, that's good, and then we're going to need a whole load of heavy cable. Which we might even have enough gold in there for, actually. Right, and I'm going to need at least 2 iron sheets to fill those in, so let's get that going whilst that's happening over there. It's always good if you can get on with one job while something else is happening. And then start some heavy cable going there. Right, now where I'm starting to run into problems is I haven't got enough hands. Let's get that. And stack that in here with that. I don't really want to just leave stuff hanging around. Because you know that's just tempting a storm to start. Right, okay, let's grab the welder. And one there, and one there. Right, so you'll see I'm cabling these up with heavy cable, but I'm actually going to have to replace quite a lot of other cable with heavy cable as well, because otherwise when we throw the switch it's just going to melt everything. So we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, about 18. Okay. Well, keep chuntering away, I guess. Got enough in there to make another 15. Okay, well that's good. That means I can just grab those and let it run. This is a bit of a messy job and not one I normally like doing in the daytime because we're going to end up temporarily cutting the power off, but it has to be done. Right, that's a start. Obviously I'm doing the piece that we can get away with first before we do anything that's going into that charging of that APC, but we are now going to have to, still going, cut that off. Right, that's the start. The good news is that a lot of that light cable that we're pulling out we can use for other things. Let's see if this is finished. Yes, it is. Good. Let's get some more copper smelting because I'm going to need that in a minute. Just stick that in there. Kind of happy with this just doing its thing here and finishing. Good. And then that can go in. I think that's enough. I hope that's enough. Right. 1, 2. Oh. Right, time is of the essence here. Okay, that's good. You'll see I'm doing the bits that are the same shape so that I can do it as quickly as possible because I do want to maximise the amount of time that the sun is charging things for. It's nearly the end of the day. Right, let's get up here anyway. We might as well, whoops, get these panels up. We're not going to get them functional today. There's sort of 2 ways you can set panels up now. You can see there's this setting with the power on one side and the data on the other, although the data's stubbornly underneath the pop-up. So that's one option, or the other option is to go with a combined. Obviously a bit less wiring if you do go with the combined. It can get a bit more complicated later on to make sure that the electronics driving the panels are properly powered without creating feedback loops into your power system. So you can kind of do it either way. I think with the amount of light cable we've got here, I might just do it with a fully segregated data and power system. If nothing else, it'd be a good way of showing you how to do it. So let's see if I can get that to it. Yes, always nice when that happens. Okay, so we've got the 2 base panels up. Without any glass on them yet, but that's okay. Right, the sun's now down, so this panel I'm literally standing on is not generating anything, so there's nothing to lose now. Let's just cut these away and replace them. There we go. Nice. Okay. Now, what we are going to want to do is to replumb this, if that's the right word for an electric system, so that instead of charging this APC directly, what we're going to do is we're going to charge the big static battery and have that charge the APC, and actually also probably feed that battery charger. So it needs a little bit of work, but that will start to then lay the groundwork for a sensible electrical network later on. So doing this is going to cut off all of the power, but that's kind of okay at the moment. I think we can manage as long as I've got enough storage space to pick everything else up I need to. So let's just drop a few more on there. Whoa, a little bit close. I feel like that probably should have smashed my visor if that was real life, but hey, luckily it wasn't. Right, okay, so let's get that in there. That in there for a minute, and that in there. We're going to grab the drill, we're going to, whoops, deconstruct that, put the drill away, put that in there for a minute. Right, we're going to need the wire cutters. We're going to be cutting a fair chunk of this away. Let's just do that for now. That might be enough, to be honest. Let's grab that there and get that out of the way and restack that there. Right, okay, let's grab that. Let's grab that. Right, okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put a battery in here, and you'll see it's got an input side and an output side. So that's the input, and that's connected up to all of this. So this high-powered network here is now input to the battery, and actually what we can do later on is to stack several batteries in here. And then this is the output, but I don't want to connect it directly to here because I think that's still quite risky and likely to burn everything. So I'm going to connect it through a power controller, but I'm actually going to do it back here and give myself a little bit of extra space. Right, there we go. The batteries need to be turned on to start charging. Of course, the downside is it's got no charge in it whatsoever at the moment. But there we go. And then I'm going to open that cover. I'm going to drop that battery back in there and turn that back on, and then at least that's all of these systems should now. Yeah, okay, they are functioning. We haven't got a lot of charge in there, but it's a start. Okay, let's just turn that off for a minute because we really haven't got a lot of charge in there. Okay, so there's a couple of things we need to do. The first thing is we need to connect up where we're going to run the sensor network for the solar panels. So let's do that real quick. So they're going to need to run along the top edge there. Of course I can't quite reach because the ground level here is a bit lower. So you'll see I'm leaving cable on the end there in the anticipation that we're going to extend this solar panel boom later on to include additional panels, and I'm also wiring it so that we can add another panel there later. Right, and then let's get down, save fuel, not least because that jetpack fuel's nitrogen, which is one of the more difficult gases to come by, and until we've got gas processing, it's going to have to stay like that. Right, whoops. Oh my goodness, what am I doing? Right, okay. So let's flip that around there. Okay, so I'm going to pull this straight out from this side here. I've kind of got half a mind with this to how later on we're going to want to connect up transformers and such like to start to really split the power network up once the total power consumption exceeds what we can run off one network without blowing everything up. So that's why I'm laying it out with a bit of space here. In the short term I'm going to use that to connect the battery charger, but longer term we'll probably re-site that. Is there room? Yes, there is. Nice. Okay, perfect. We'll do that then. And then that can go in there. And that can go in there. We'll turn that on just so it's there. Okay, right. So that
power low
is very well timed. Power low. Actually, I'm going to take the battery out of this as well because it's not 100% charged. Right, hang on. Let's too many windows open. Let's grab. Oh, actually, it is 100%. It just was green instead of blue. Fine. Okay, let's close that. Right. So this side here we'll be able to use to put the necessary sensors and electronics to drive the solar panels for tracking the sun. I'm going to throw together. I forgot to turn that off. Some more frames so that we've actually got space to work over there. Probably going to need to re-site this arc furnace in a minute as well, so I'll maybe build a few. Oh, we've run out of power. So much for that. I was going to build a few more. Right. Okay, so let's do that. It's not great, we haven't got a lot of power, but you know, hopefully get us going. I'm going to turn this off for now. I think we can manage. We've got a little bit longer before we'll need to get in and have another food and drink session. So we're going to connect these onto the end here. Oops, that's what I was trying not to do. Oh, now I've got stuck in the hole. Right, I'm also going to put some over here. I just want to generally create a bit more working space. And then we'll do that, and then we'll build some iron sheets. This might look like excessive amounts of space, but you'll see why in a minute. Right, I think we'll stick one more on the end here. Okay, so let's weld these up. I can't count. Whoops. Oh, what are you doing? Weld, that's better. Right, there we go. Okay, that's a nice big working space we've got there. Have we got the most and the least copper? I'll chuck that one in there for now. Mostly just get it out of the way. Right, okay. I actually still don't think that's going to be enough space, but it will be enough to get us started. Right, and actually, just to unclog the inventory a bit, I'm going to just connect these here. It will be useful later anyway, so there we go. Gives us a connection stub for later on, and also somewhere to connect the sensor data, so later on we can get fancy and build some sort of way of measuring how much power we've got left. Oops, I've managed to fall off the end again. Oh, I'll take that as well. Okay, right, the sun's nearly coming up, right. We should get ready for the morning. Right, let's grab that. Now, did we have some? Yes, we did. I can't quite reach it from here. I need to stick another frame on the end so this doesn't keep happening. Right, let's convert that coal into electricity. Get that battery charged. So you can see that now these generators are all feeding into that battery. And we've actually got two different high power networks, one each side of the battery. That's quite important to make a note of, and in a minute I'll probably grab some paint and actually I generally paint the charge side one a different colour. Maybe we'll go with green or something. Anyway, right, let us get in here. I'm going to start that smelting just whilst we're at it. Turn this on, get into the interior. I still never built that passive vent. I said I was going to, must remember to do that. And let's get in here and get the glass, which is there. Nice. What's the temperature in here? It's 18 degrees now, so we should be okay. We're going to try a test plant, I think. What should we plant? I guess we should probably go Matt Damon and plant a potato. Yeah, let's just plant one for now. I don't want to plant too many because if the growing conditions are not good, we'll kill it, but I think we should be fine. There's water in there, temperature's good. I forgot to check the atmosphere, but it was kind of okay. Yeah, I think that will be fine. Yeah, I think that will do us nicely. Right, okay, good. Alright, well, let's get back out here and crack on. this is where later on we'll need some automation because we've actually overcharged that battery. Never mind, we have plenty of other systems that need power. So let's get rid of that because it's just a 2 stack and it just gets it out of the way. In a minute I'm going to, I'll put that in there, I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of work on this, so that will be fine. Right, okay, now let's get some glass onto those panels. Only downside is once there's glass on them a storm will damage them, but in the short term at least they're generating some power. Okay, so well, I say that they're not pointing at the sun yet, but we'll get there. We'll get there. That's the next job we're going to start working on. So we're going to get a sensor kit. And if we've got enough materials, we're also going to build some logic. Yeah, I think we've probably got enough to do this actually. May not have enough cable, but other than that, I'm pretty close. So what we're going to do is we're going to have some logic I/O chips, and we're going to have a sensor. We're going to have ultimately 4 chips, but actually we can manage to get this started with 2 because the vertical tracking is much more important on Mars, at least, than the horizontal tracking, because if you look at the track the sun takes across the sky, it doesn't move enormously. It basically goes up, over and down. On some planets it will rise in much more of an arc, and you need to track it on both horizontal and vertical axis in order to get the panels to charge, but we can get away with it on Mars, so if we can, we will. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect a logic reader here, and we're going to connect a batch writer here. Right, and then we're going to cable those up, and we'll also add a sensor in a minute. So you'll see I've put them right flush next to these cables so that the actual amount of cable required to connect them is minimised, because I'm conscious that we're slightly short of cable. However, as is so often the case, we are 1 short. We're going to connect that, and we haven't connected the sensor yet anyway, so that will definitely need some more. So let's churn out a bit more cable. Right, that should be enough to get started anyway. So let's get this going. As I say, later on we can get fancy and do horizontal tracking as well, but the most important thing is to get some vertical tracking going on. So to do that, what we need is we need to put the sensor somewhere. Whoops. Somewhere that it's not upside down would be good. I'm going to put it here, because then, whoops, pressing all the wrong buttons again, then I can connect the cable here, and look at that, nice and neat, not too much to do. And you'll see that that is now showing us a solar angle, which is changing, horizontal, which is staying at -8, and vertical, which is changing along with the solar angle. As I say, on planets other than Mars where the horizontal is changing, the solar angle becomes much more complicated, the whole calculation becomes much more complicated. But on Mars, where horizontal is staying the same, really the thing we need to be tracking is that vertical. So let's get to work. So we're going to need a screwdriver. We're going to adjust this to read the daylight sensor that we've just installed, and the variable we're going to read is going to be vertical. So let's turn that on, and you'll see that value is now mirroring that value. Now the batch writer, what we're going to do as an input, we're going to read from the logic reader. The output, we are going to connect to the solar panels. Whoops, went too far. And the variable on the output is going to also be the vertical. We're going to turn that on, and you'll see immediately the panels move. And that's amazing. Look how they tilt as the sun moves through the sky, and notice how they're actually angled at completely the wrong direction. And that's because the horizontal is not tracking correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually manually... I always do this backwards. Yeah, I've done it backwards, haven't I? So let's flick that around there. Whoops. So a little bit of trial and error depending on how your base is orientated in terms of getting these right. But you'll see what's happening now is if you look at the amount of efficiency on them, it's right up there. Look at that, 88%, 89%. It's not 100%, and the reason it's not 100% is if you remember that solar angle's at -8. I could probably get it a little bit better if I move it there, 98%. And if I really was feeling fancy and I did that, it's at 99, 98, 99. So, you know, doable. The downside is that the solar angle being at -8, you're getting good energy efficiency at this end of the day, but the other end of the day, when it rises, actually the right position for this is going to be slightly north, because if that's looking due east, the panels are going to be facing about here, but then the sunrise is actually going to be slightly over here. So that's the downside of not doing proper tracking, but it is so close that it's not really worth worrying about. And the fact you're getting really high efficiency, I mean, the only thing I'm thinking is actually whether I'm better off getting peak efficiency in the morning where we've got a fairly clear horizon rather than in the afternoon where there's that damn great hill in the way, which probably makes sense therefore to do it the other way round. Well, let's see how we get on. We'll see how the charging goes. I mean, in the meantime, considering this is not charging any power at this time of day, these are still at a 90% and are generating 420 watts each. You'll see that's now completely full, and we're not running the solid generator at all. So we've still got a stack of coal in there, albeit only 10, but we've still got a stack of coal in there for emergency use. So that alone is enough to really get us to a good degree of power self-sufficiency. You can also see all these batteries are charged now, which is brilliant. I'm going to flick that in there, I'm going to flick that in there, the suit's at 100%. That'll recharge. Obviously this is now dropped because that battery's charging from here, and those panels are no longer generating any input, but that's fine. That will have enough power in it to last through the night, I should have thought. Certainly if we're not smelting, and we're not going to be smelting for a minute because the next thing we're going to do is to start to move the arc furnace in preparation for a bit of automation. Have we got enough cable? Probably not. Let's get some more cable building. You can never have enough cable. Right, and in fact what we're going to do is we're going to end up having 2 arc furnaces. So we're going to be building some more stuff in there in a minute, but let's move this one first. Otherwise it gets very complicated. Let's start by deconstructing it, and let's put it, where are we lined up? About here. That's probably about right. There's a bit of guesswork involved, and you'll see why in a minute. Right, we're going to need to obviously reconnect the power. Right, told you we'd need more cable. That's an interesting stack, isn't it? Right, let's stop now. I think that's probably enough cable to keep us going for a minute. it's actually only 30, it won't keep us going that long. Right, anyway, it will get this connected, so that's a good start. So let's connect that, right. Okay, now we're also going to connect up the sensor channels on this, because in preparation for some automation, we're going to be needing it. So let's get that connected across there. And you'll see I'm laying in enough, I'm laying in enough cable for the fact that actually I'm going to be connecting a second arc furnace quite shortly, so I'm just basically figuring out where it's going to go by laying in the cabling. Right, there we are, that's fine. Okay, we've got a bit of a weird loop there, we could save some cable by taking that out, but to be fair, in a minute we're about to start connecting up more chips, and I'm going to show you a super hacky way that you can automate arc furnaces by slightly abusing logic, but that's fine. We do it all the time in programming, why not do it in Stationeers? So we're going to start with, we're going to need 4 of these. We've got enough, we can make 4. Okay, perfect. Starting to get to the point now where there's potential for a storm at any point, so I don't really want to just leave too much valuable material building and wander off. We must be on, I think, day 5. I haven't been fully keeping track, but definitely into the zone where it can happen, and I don't really want all this stuff getting blown away. So, and if you haven't seen a storm before, when you do, you'll see why I'm a bit paranoid, because it's just quite disruptive to the normal functioning of life. Doubly so if all the things that you're working on get blown away. Right, okay, so we are going to plonk these down. What's the best way to do this? I suppose we could do it really tidily, couldn't we? We could actually, if we put a reader, we need a reader and a writer for each one, so if we do that, I'll put the reader there. Slightly wondering if I've done this wrong. Probably have. Okay, well, I've just put down another reader as well. I have definitely done that wrong. Right, writer. Drill. Writer. Right, now this is the point at which we need the labeler, and you'll see why once we start making this work, because it gets super complicated otherwise. So we're going to call this one Arc Furnace 1 because I'm creative like that. So we're going to call this Logic Reader Arc 1, and we're going to call this Logic Writer Arc 1, and we're going to call this Logic Reader Arc 2 because why not? And Logic Writer Arc 2. There we go, look at that, that's almost like I'm a mathematical genius. Right, we'll put that label away for a minute. Right, we are definitely going to run out of cable, but in the meantime let's start another arc furnace manufacturing. And see how much of this at least we can get cabled. We'll start with furnace 1 because at least then we can get it running. Almost. Not quite got enough to do it, but not quite as bad as I thought actually. 1 cable short. There we go. Right, okay, well while that's working, I'm going to show you this incredibly hacky hack. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to set this one to read So I'm going to set the device to read, whoops, I'm going to get the screwdriver first. I'm going to set the device to read arc furnace 1, because it's arc furnace 1 reader. And I'm going to read the import count. I'm going to turn that on, and that's currently 0. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take as its input logic reader arc 1, and its output to, did that the wrong way round, arc furnace 1, and the variable I'm going to set it to is going to be activate. I'm going to turn that on as well. So at the moment that's saying 0 import count, activate state 0. Right, now watch what happens when I pick up some iron, turn the furnace on, and let's just throw it in so you can actually see. You see the import count went to 1, and you'll see it's immediately turned itself on and started smelting. And the reason it's done that is import count has gone to 1, which means that the logic writer has updated its state to 1, which has sent a 1 signal to activate, which means turn it on. But actually any non-zero being sent to the activate channel will turn it on and actually do the equivalent of pressing the activate button. And every time the import count increments, that triggers an update on the writer, which triggers it to reset.
Hydration critical.
So although the next one I put in will make that a 2, and that will then send a 2 here, 2 still means press the button, because anything that's not 0 means press the button. So every time I throw something in, it should now auto smelt. So I'm just going to grab that out of the way. May as well throw it in here for now. And let's pick this up, put it in, and off it goes. So let's set the second one up, and so far you can see it's kind of interesting, but you think, well, why? But you'll start to see in a minute how the magic of this works. So I'm putting the other one back to back with it. Again, turn it on. Remember to label it so that it's not completely confusing when we come to set the rest of the systems up. And we're missing one piece of cable, aren't we? So let's get that fixed as well. In fact, we're going to need a few more cables. So we'll let it build a small stack. I don't want hundreds, but a few more will be useful for what we're about to do next. We are going to now do a very low-tech solution to automated smelting. So we've got the smelters largely set up. Let's just do the same with this one. So if you remember, we take the reader, we set the reader to read the right arc furnace, read its import count, turn it on, import count 0, that's fine. Then we set this to read the results of the logic writer, making sure we get the right one. You can see now why I wanted to label them. The output, again, make sure it's to the right arc furnace, and set the output to activate and turn it on. That switch is powered on there. Put that in and off it goes. So that's fantastic. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get a sorter. Oh, well, I would get a sorter if we had some gold. Okay, so let's get some gold out of here for a minute. Got some in there, yep. Okay. Put the steel in there again. That's our most valuable thing. We can't make any more of it without a lot of faffing around. So let's put that in there and create one sorter. No, just one. too slow. Okay. See, I forgot to flick it off sorter then, didn't I? Okay, so we're going to get one sorter, and then the other thing we're going to start doing, may as well start this running whilst we do it, is we're going to build some chutes. And we're going to need a load of chutes. And actually, do you know what? I'm going to build the chutes on the pipe bender because we're going to need some other bits as well. So then this can be producing chutes while we get on with the next bit. Right, what we're going to do now is we're going to put a sorter. We're going to put it here. I'll put it one back, it's slightly easier. You see, it doesn't quite fit perfectly in the gap, but on the other hand it also needs to be powered, so we're going to connect it through here. So offsetting it slightly to the left as you look at it is the right way to do it, so that you can connect that power. Now, if you don't know how sorters work, if you connect them up to a computer system, whoops, these are flying everywhere, then you can make them sort specific. My goodness, they're everywhere. You can make them sort specific items or item types. However, if they are not connected to anything, they will simply alternate whether they're outputting left or right. Okay, we've got 16 chutes, that's a good start. Right, so if we now put this here, I'm actually, maybe it's a bit more resource hungry, but I'm just thinking we might actually go for some see-through ones, just because I think it would be nicer and it would be more useful later on to see whether these are full or not. So we'll put windows in there, and one there, right, and then we'll put corners on there and on there. So now we have a system, and we're not finished yet, but let's put this out of the way. Now we have a system where if I take this and I turn that on and throw it in there, it will go through, and that one went off to the left, so it comes into this one. And if this is free and empty, it will load and it will start smelting, which is what it's doing. And it can queue up potentially 3 in this side, and the other one can queue up potentially 2. But as I say, we're not finished yet, because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to connect up, and you can get more high tech with this. Right, I'm just going to go straight. I just want to create capacity. Right, and then we'll put an input on here. Inlet, there we go. Right, now what we've got is a long feeder tube into which we can drop ore, and it will go through the sorter and it will go into the arc furnace, and the arc furnace will turn on and smelt it. So we can just stand here and just throw these in. They take a second to go through, but the only downside of this is if you realise that you actually need a particular material very quickly, because you've obviously got a whole kind of backlog. So that's why I'm trying to mix up the order that I drop these in, so there's sort of a bit of a mix coming through. Although if we're going to need any more iron soon, that may be a problem. But this pipe chute here now is essentially full, and you'll see we've got some in there and in both of those. And this is just going to chunter away, smelt stuff, and spit it out. But what we're going to do now is we're going to come up with a better solution, because what we don't want is all those lovely ingots dropping out and then a storm coming along, blowing them all away, and then we can't even find them. So we're going to build a little bit of a temporary storage solution. I've got iron walls inside the hab, which I could go and fetch. On the other hand, I could be lazy. I think I'm going to go with lazy. We'll just make some more. Right, now I think over here feels like it would be quite a good place. I don't want to build too close up there and mess with the sunlight coming in. That's the only thing. Perhaps we'll build it here. Whoops. So you'll see we've got 2 more of those that just dropped out. Yeah, I think that's enough of those for now. do this because this will make it a lot easier later on to not lose ingots. Actually, perhaps we'll put the ingot storage here. It's a little bit out of the way, which isn't brilliant, but it's a nice clear run straight across there. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Right, so we're going to need some iron sheets and we're going to need some iron walls. Actually, if I process the walls first. And we're going to need 4 walls, and we're also going to need a door. And then everything else will be iron sheets. Should have counted how many I needed, really, shouldn't I? But I didn't, so there we go. So let's just guess. I'm going to go with 1, 2, some more, 5, 8, I don't know. Probably about 15 will do the job. 16, that's about 15, right? Okay, so we're going to build that there. So what I'm going to do... Oh, I hadn't thought about doing it with windows for a change. Now let's just build it with walls. Oh, come on. Right, let's get some flooring down. And I'm actually making that a solid floor. Got some left, bonus, right, okay. Alright, well we'll throw them in there for a minute. Plastic sheets, I can't remember where they are, whether I've got any left out here, I don't think I have. Did I leave them inside? I thought I'd brought them out, but I can't see them now. No, that was glass. Okay, well we'll grab some... no silicone, so we won't do that. Okay, what I am going to do is I'm going to put those in there because we're going to need that in a minute. And I'm going to chuck that over there. Right, so we've got a door. Let's get the door on. We'll go with that style of door. It doesn't hugely matter. So we're going to need a plastic sheet to deal with that, and we'll wire it up so that we can actually open it nicely without using the crowbar. It doesn't matter hugely, but sometimes it's nice to do these things properly, isn't it? Right, if I can run that wire down the edge there, we can reuse some of it later on. Oops, well, I haven't got anywhere near enough, have I? So this is really not very effective. Right, more cable. And then meanwhile, over here, let's go with some more chutes. Right. The use of that will become obvious in a moment. Okay, let's connect this up. Let's go all the way down here, might as well. I've just about got enough. that stop? Oh, I interrupted the power when I disconnected it. That's fine. Okay. Right, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to connect a chute onto here, like that. And we're going to end up wanting to roughly line up over here. In fact, for the sake of being tidy, let's aim to do that. So let's come out this way. It will look better in the long run.
Power low.
Whoops. There we go. Okay, don't mind the flying chutes, that's normal. Gravity is not a thing here. Okay, it's not really low, it's at 50%, but hey, there we go. It's better to know now than it is to know when it gets to 0%. I am, however, starting to die of thirst, so normally at this point I would go in and just drink immediately, but I just want to finish this chute layout. It will make more sense soon, I promise. And when I go in, I'm going to be bringing out the plastic sheets that I need as well. Whoops! This is also why I don't want to leave chute manufacturing unattended, because they tend to fly. Right, now, what we're going to do with these, if you haven't already guessed, is we're going to connect them wrong already. That's a good start, isn't it? Okay. Any more flown anywhere? Probably. I'll probably be finding chutes for months, but hey, there we go. There's some silicon. Let's grab that. Yeah, I've gone one further than I needed to. I always do that with chutes. Right. Any more? Have we run out of iron? Yeah, we've run out of iron. I'm pretty sure we've run out of iron in there as well. Yep. Okay, well, sooner or later that furnace is going to vomit out some more iron for us to use. Let's tidy up in the meantime. Right. That may as well go in there. It's actually legitimately useful. Let's put those away, otherwise I shall forget. What's going on here? That should be there and that should be there. Actually, really, where that should be is neither of those places. It should be in here. We'll close that up nice and tidy. Look at that. Right, let's grab that. So you'll see that even though we haven't run the solid generator, we've still got 10 coal in there. We've got plenty of power. These are running pretty much continuously. And in fact this one has now almost run out of things to smelt, so that's looking pretty decent, and all the battery systems are charged. So yet again I get here and remember I forgot the passive vent. Look at that, and in the meantime we can harvest the potato, which currently has unfavourable lighting. That'll probably be on the basis it's, you know, like night time. Right, let's grab that. Let us open the helmet, which is not technically required, but I'm going to do it anyway, and have a drink. We will need to get some ice processing sorted as well in a moment, because that bottle's now empty. Let's eat a bit of soup as well. So we'll get that sorted in a moment. That will be our next job, but let's get these furnaces finished. Right, is there any more unsmelted ore that's got knocked flying in here? Whoops, he said smashing into all of the equipment. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, That's good news. I think I'll grab those iron walls. We could have saved ourselves a bit of work if we'd hung on to them. Now, shall we harvest that potato? Shall we see if we can hold out for another slightly bigger crop? I think it's worth a go, isn't it? Right, cycle to exterior. The yield on the various crops has changed so many times through different releases that I don't even know whether in the current build 2 is the most we're going to get out of a potato, but you know, we'll find out. Let's throw that in there. Right, so in the meantime, this one, when it empties, whoops, is now by pure bad luck lined up directly above there, so it's now going to resmelt itself. Okay, that was just terrible positioning. Must do better. Have we got some iron in here? Yes, we have. Okay, let's do this. Yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the world, it's just a bit irritating that basically just took a nice smelted block of gold ingot and fed it back into a furnace, but it would have been worse if it was something unsmeltable like a tool or something. That would have jammed the whole system up and then it becomes a bit of a pain when we've got to start dismantling things to fix it, at which point it tends to result in large numbers of ore flying around in different directions. Anyway, we can fix this quickly by doing that, and then that, and then that, and then that. We're not quite in the right place yet, but we're getting close. We might have even got enough by now. Probably one more. We're going to need more chutes anyway, so I'm not hugely fussed if we manufacture slightly too many. Right, let's join it this way, shall we? I've still lined it up wrong. I told you I always do that with chutes. There we go. That was terrible. Right, okay, let's take that off there, that off there. Right, at least we've got the right number to build at this end. That goes in there. Oh, come on. That's it. There we go. Right, so now anything coming out of at least one of those furnaces is now going to flow down this chute, through here, and it's going to plop out the ceiling and drop in there. So if I now put the door on, see what now is happening is that all of the ingots, perfectly timed, so look at that, are all just deposited in there. And if we keep that door closed, they can't blow away in a storm, they're all kept in the same place. So now we just need to throw ore in there and it will automatically go through this system, it will get smelted and it will plop out through the top. I just need to connect that one up, which is not quite ready with yet, but oh, get that in the right place. Okay, so we're going to need probably about another 6 or 8 chutes, I would guess. There's no more around, are there? No, having said that, there are bound to be some that would get flung around and I'd be finding them for ages. Actually, there aren't any. Okay, so the next thing really we're waiting for is some iron to smelt, and this is where I said the disadvantage of the system is you can't so easily control it. I mean, the other disadvantages, I literally just don't think I've got enough iron, so we're going mining again. But you're glad I turned on the yield mod so that at least I'm getting full stacks each time, because it would get terribly tedious watching this otherwise, wouldn't it? There we go. Right, let's close that. Let's go see what we can find. Iron, iron, iron. Actually, I'm going to grab some lead while we're passing because we will need some sooner or later. Just one stack, I don't want to clutter up my inventory, but it kind of makes sense to have a little bit. this iron and get back, and we can just dump it all in, leave it to go through the furnaces, and it'll be ready to use. And we should have a decent stock of other materials as well, because I did bring back quite a lot of copper and gold, if you recall, last time. So maybe that's the end of that deposit. Oh no, there is some there. Just couldn't see, I was standing too close to it. Right, let's just go crazy, get as much as we can carry. Okay, which is probably pretty much where we're at now. Which is in that stack. 25, come on. Come on, I want all of it. All of your iron, give me all your iron. Perfect, okay. Alright, well, no space to carry anymore, so let's go home. So you see quite quickly we've got a reasonable degree of automation going on here. We've now got solar panels that are tracking the sun, and we've got a pretty good early game automated smelting setup running here, which is fantastic, because that means that whilst we're away from the base or doing other things, this setup is just sat there, just chewing through. I'll throw that lead in. Chewing through this stuff and processing it for us, which is brilliant. At least it will be once I connect up the other piece. We do need the rest of those chutes. The good news, however, is that this should be going through iron pretty quickly. Yep, look at that. Look at that go. And it's kind of self-balancing, because if one of them's processing something like gold that smelts really slowly and the other's doing iron, it just means that it will create a slot in the pipeline here quicker. Right, so that one should be through here. There it is. Look at that. So, I mean, with hindsight, perhaps that could have been built closer to the machines, but we'll probably move the machines, to be honest, at some point anyway. So. I'm not too fussed, or we can always build more chutes to deliver it somewhere else. Late game, I quite often build a series of sorted silos where different ingot types go in, and then you can start building some electronics where you just literally press a button to order the ingot of your choice to be delivered directly to the machines, which is obviously hugely effective but needs quite a lot more resources to build. So for now, I'm kind of happy with this, that it's just a fairly short walk, and they're all going to go in there, be nice and safe and secure, no risk of losing them in a storm, no piles of just random ingots that you've then got to sort of hope you don't knock over. It's all just there, it's in, there we go, all connected. Look at that, beautiful. We've got 3 chutes left. So, I mean, it is a bit of a heap because they're still just in that room there, but, you know, we know they're all in a confined space, right? So, it's helpful. One place to go look. That's everything out of there. Yep, okay, good. Let's close that up. Yeah, knocked over the iron. Good shot. Right, there we go. And in fact, what we could do, if we're feeling really fancy, and I'm feeling really fancy now, is we could call that the ore door. There we go. And see that? It's literally raining. It's not really an ore door though, is it? It's an ingot door. I'm going to have to rename it now. Whoops, I can't even type. Ingot store, there we go. So it's quite a nice feature how it puts the name of the door onto it like that on those composite doors. It looks kind of nice. Right, I said earlier on that I was going to colour code the power network, so I'm going to do that now because otherwise I'll forget, and then later on at some point I'm going to end up connecting the wrong thing to the wrong side, and it's going to end horribly. There is a quicker way to do this, by the way, which is that if you've got a stack, you can use a single unit of paint, 5%, to spray the whole stack in one go. I just couldn't really be bothered to dismantle the whole thing. Although I'm now going to run out, aren't I? Yes, I am, with one piece not enough. That's just typical. Okay, well, that's fine. I'll be making some more paint later anyway. What am I doing? I am attempting to change belts and failing because I forgot what I was doing halfway through. Right, what we'll do is if I grab the green one and then I take the red one, you'll see that stacked it, and then now they're both green. So there we go. Look at that, much better. So now it's really clear that that's the power input line, that's the power output line. So hopefully we won't get those muddled up and blow things up. Blowing things up can be fun, but generally only if you intended to blow them up. Look at this, you see this is already finished, this side. It's on the lead. And look at that, beautiful mountain of ingots. That was time well spent creating that infrastructure. The only question now is, can we actually mine fast enough? Let's find out. Of course, I've still got a whole load of ice here, which also needs dealing with. It's a bit more of a pain because anything much I do with it is just going to melt. So perhaps we'll build a water ice crusher, or build an ice crusher and get some water. Oh, that needs gold, right? Okay, not that that matters because we've got some in here. Let's have gold and copper. Let's go crazy. Okay, so we'll build one of those. And we'll also need a bottle filler, which needs silicon, which we've only got in there actually. I'm going to put the ice crusher and the bottle filler probably inside because what tends to happen on Mars is the ambient temperature is quite low, you crush the ice, what you end up with is a whole load of water which is below freezing, which doesn't then fill the drinking bottle, not unreasonably because it's, you know, like ice. So building it inside, obviously we know we've got a decent ambient temperature. The only downsides there, one, if things expand too much, you overfill it and blow a pipe out, we could pollute the atmosphere, and two, it's obviously going to change the temperature in the base and lower it whenever we bring ice in. So that is a consideration, and that's actually quite a serious consideration because obviously we could end up killing our crops. So just worth being aware of that, but I still think that's probably the best solution for an initial build. Later on we can spread this stuff out. Right, I'm just grabbing some random things while I'm here. I came for the silicon, I stayed for the lead. Silver! It's silver! The mythical silver! We are saved! Mainly be one. Oh, it's more than one piece of silver. Not only are we saved, we are rich beyond our wildest dreams. Oh wait, this is not RimWorld, is it? Nonetheless, that should be enough. 150 units of silver should be enough for our electronics enjoyment. So I'm going to head back. That was a definite bonus finding that. Very pleased. So let's throw that 30 stack of silicon in here first so it can start smelting, and then let's just do it. Let's just get the silver, mix it up a bit. Right, that's good. That means we've probably got enough there to make electrum, which we'll be definitely needing when we start to build the more advanced electronics. Oh, that was well timed as well. That lead's just about to finish. go, in goes the silicon. Not sure whether if I press this button it will actually just break the automation, but I'm going to try it anyway. That's restarted it, but I don't know whether... I think it should be fine. I think when that one finishes the import count will increment again and that will trigger it, but in the meantime that's a quick way of getting at this. Which is perfect because I can throw that in there. Oh, of course I end up one less than I need. Okay, well while that's finishing doing that, we are going to need some liquid pipes, even if it's only 2 or 3, in order to get the water from the ice crusher to the bottle filler. Probably 3, might not even need 3, but it's better to have 3 and need 2 than it is to have 2 and need 3. So we'll do that. Might think about a radiator on there later on. There could be some benefit in that. It will cause it to equalise the temperature with the hab quicker. But as I say, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. If what it ends up doing is... Oh, that's fine. If what it ends up doing is killing all the plants, that would be bad. Whoa, bash. How I haven't broken my spacesuit is beyond me. But there we go. Right, let's build a filler. Bottle filler. Oh, passive vent. I remembered the passive vent this time. That's incredible. In fact, you know what? I might build 2 passive vents because actually with one of them we can complete the airlock with proper cycling, and with a second one it means that if I'm putting water ice in that crusher, the nitrogen that comes out could be vented. I will use a pipe valve between the two so that it can be stopped, otherwise we might blow the hab out. The glass walls will take up to a 200 kPa pressure difference, which practically means, look at that, very efficient, everything inside, which practically means that if we pressurize the hab above about 201.5 kPa, the walls are going to pop and we're going to be sad. Not as sad as our potatoes. Right, that is only going to create 2 potatoes, so I'm going to have them and I'm going to plant the potatoes, thus increasing the number of potatoes in the world. Right, that can come out of the way. That I'm going to need, and that I'm going to need. Whoops. Smack myself in the face. Right, okay, this is where it's getting a little bit tight in here. We do need to start thinking about building a bit of a bigger hab, but I haven't actually needed to use that filter, but I probably will do at some point. Right, we'll put the crusher here, I guess. It's not really ideal. Or should I put it on that side? Maybe that side's better. I need to get another locker in here so I can put all these seeds away. I'm so messy. Come to Mars, they said. They didn't tell me I had to tidy up when I got here. Right. Trouble is, I don't want to cast too much of a shadow across the plants, but I think we'll get away with that. It's quite a high machine, but I think that will be okay. Well, if it's not okay, we'll have to move it. Now, this is the bad bit, is now we need to use the welding torch in a confined space, which is already at 20 degrees. Never ends hugely well, but fingers crossed we won't burn the whole place down. If we do, then, well, game over, really. Oof. Right, okay, you see the temperature there spiked quite viciously, but it's dropped to a mere 28 now. Right, and I've got too few cable coils to finish the job anyway. Although actually I need quite a lot more than that to connect it. Fine. Right, the bottle filler we're going to put... Oh, always orientates the wrong way, this bottle filler. In fact, not only that, it's really irritating. It won't go the only obvious right way. There's something wrong with its cycling when you press C. Oh my goodness, come on. That's it. Right, I'm going to put that... Actually, I'm going to put that here. And the reason for that is I want slightly more length of pipe actually inside the room. Wait, I've done that wrong. I always do that wrong. That means that's not going to fit here anyway. Okay. Learning point. Do the plumbing before you start connecting the devices.
Power low.
Yep, look at that. Amazing. At least that connected nicely. Right, okay, that's good. Okay, so that empty bottle may as well go in there. I haven't actually got any more water with me either, so I need to fix that. I need to get some more cable to connect this and finish building that. Then I can throw some ice in it. Okay. However, before I do, let's connect the gas pipe, which is going to go this way. And then it's, whoops, if I can get in without smacking my face on something that's fatal. Then it's going to go... actually, I'm going to make it go downwards. It's going to be a bit tidier. Then it's going to go along here. It's going to go along here. We have space somewhere for a valve, aren't we? I mean, I guess I could just do that. Put a valve along there. I feel like I'd like it slightly off the wall though. Yeah, that just looks wrong. I mean, it functionally works, but it offends my aesthetics. Whereas, of course, throwing packets of seeds randomly around a hab doesn't offend anything. Look at this. What a lovely mess we've made over there. Don't go in that corner, kids. You'll break your neck. Right. Let's put that there. And throw the other one away. Right, okay. Now, the question is, can I put... Well, the first question is, can I even see the vent? Can I put a vent directly next to... Yes, I can. Sometimes you can put things directly next to things like valves, and other times you have to put a piece of pipe between the two. I don't know why some things behave differently from others. They just do. It's just life. Right, let's finish this. Let's deconstruct that pipe and put a corner in there. There we go, beautiful. And whoa! I was going to say that's going to spike the air pressure, but well, didn't quite expect it to spike it that much. Okay, on the other hand, we're now up to 65 kPa in here. That could have ended very badly. I'm slightly traumatized. Okay, good. Let's go and get some cable, I guess, and then we can get ourselves some water. Oh, I left a machine on. That was very, very silly. Although we're reasonably self-sufficient with power now, so it's not the end of the world. Right, meanwhile... Quite a decent store of ingots there. The smelters are doing good work. Okay. That's good. Right, I'm going to connect up this ice maker, and then we have self-sufficiency with food and water and power, and we have automated smelting of base ingots. Oh, it's taking ages to pressurise. I'm too lazy. Right, that's the... Oh, hello. Most extraordinary. Okay. Hello. Can we... Thank you. Right. Oh, I've got a horrible feeling I'm going to have like one wire too few. Oh no, no. There we go. Turn that on. Okay. And throw that in. Right, so the ice crusher, you'll see, is at minus 15 degrees. That's why I wanted to build it inside, because at least inside it may be at minus 15, but hopefully it will start to equalise with the temperature in the room. Because if you look at that, we've got some water in there, but it's really very cold. Yeah, it's warming up, but it's slow. We need that to reach above 0 in order that the bottles start to fill up, because if I pull this out right now, you can see it's still at 0%, even though there's 313 moles of water in that pipe. I mean, technically it should be rock solid at minus 42 degrees C, but nonetheless, I'll take it. Now, in the meantime, this pipe over here, which I can't actually see, so let's get this back out of the way. Yeah, I do need to actually tidy up in here now. It's full of very cold, but full of nitrogen, and nitrogen is valuable because it's relatively hard to get hold of. So I could release it into the atmosphere. My main concern doing that is what it's going to do to the temperature. Mildly concerned about the pressure, but I think it's 251 kPa in that pipe. And there's not that much pipe, so it's going to push it up, but I think that will be okay. But I think there's a more than 0 chance that it's going to drop the room temperature to a point that's going to kill these potatoes. On the other hand, we can harvest some seeds from these while they're flowering, so let's do that. That's good. Now we've got 4 potato seeds in addition to the whatever we had 2 previously, which are, I don't know, under all this mess somewhere, I suppose. I guess. I mean, you know, it's not like it's important, right? Wonder how the fridge is getting on. Oh dear, not so good. Didn't really dare to look. I expect the eggs are in the same state as well. Yeah, look at that, 6 cartons of rot. Oh well, never mind. Later on we can use those. For now, I'll just do that. Oh look, there's the other potato seeds as well. See, miracles do happen. I'll put that on the desk. Look, that's nearly tidy. Ignore everything else. Right, what's the temperature of this now? Oh, it's still really cold. Shall I risk it? Yeah, go on then. Risk it really quickly. We'll just flick it on and off just for a tick. And see whether that even... I didn't even hear any sound. I'm not sure that... Oh no, that did. That did. And it hasn't hugely dropped the temperature in the room. Pipe is still 95% nitrogen. I'm slightly concerned there's hydrogen in the atmosphere here. That's not great. Probably should fix up that filter at some point. Although, to be honest, we're not too far away from setting up a proper atmospherics setup, which perhaps we'll build. I don't know. Maybe we'll dismantle the lander and build it over that side. Seems like a pretty good plan. Yeah, look, all that flat space. Needs quite a lot of room because the tanks are big. Although, having said that, we need to get the hot gas out of the furnace, which is over there, or we could resite the furnace. Decisions. I think we'll build where the lander is. I think we've built enough infrastructure out the other side. I don't want to go too far south, which is directly in front of me, because we're going to build the solar farm that way, as we need more power. So it kind of doesn't make sense to build large-scale infrastructure, although we could build it off slightly to one side over there. It's just a bit of a trade-off how much length of pipe we want, really. But perhaps it's more sensible just to
Hydration critical.
have a long pipe taking it that way, and then have a whole mess of pipes as we get doing atmosphere processing. Anyway, I'm rambling on, so let's have some more water because I'm at 19%, and then probably that is it. I say let's have some more water, but I have no more water in here. Well, let's at least have some soup, which I mean technically should rehydrate me, right? But doesn't. Close and lock. I mean, I'm guessing that's nowhere near. No. What I'm trying to avoid is mucking about going outside and then finding that this was almost melted, but you can see it's only warmed up by like 1 degree, so that really is going to take a while. I'm going to open that, let the temperature drop a little bit in here as a result, because it's getting up quite hot, 25 degrees. Yeah, that's equalised, so useful to introduce some more nitrogen, bring the temperature down a little bit. The advantage of nitrogen is it's a good buffer gas. You don't want too much oxygen in the atmosphere, because if you get a little bit of hydrogen and a little bit of heat, I mean, we're okay with 0.003%, but if we do get some hydrogen in here with a bit of heat, we'll have a fire and everything will be destroyed very quickly, whereas at least with some nitrogen, slightly less chance of that. Pure oxygen atmosphere is not very clever. There we go. Right. Okay. Let's go find one of the spare water bottles, I guess, from outside. Okay. And we'll put a locker together whilst we're out there. The locker will be useful for obviously tidying up a little bit in there, but longer term is going to end up needing to be moved, because we will want to build some automatic environmental controls in that greenhouse to keep it a sensible temperature. Otherwise it's going to overheat. I think we'll start by getting some atmosphere processing up and running, but that will be quite an early task after that we need to sort out. However, for now, I've built the wrong thing, so for now we've got a control chair and a plinth. That's awesome, and really not very useful, so I've just created more mess, not less. That was amazing. Oh well, there we go. Right, so I'm going to unlock helmet, open helmet, drink some water. There we go, and then that can go in my belt. Close helmet, lock helmet before I forget. And there we go, and I think that will conclude this video. So by this point we're about another hour and a half in, so that's probably about your first 3 hours of Stationeers. So you'll see in that time we have got ourselves a greenhouse. We're growing some crops. We've got some water, although it's still super cold, but you know, that's just a waiting game. But we have some flowering potatoes that will soon be our second crop of potato. Breathable atmosphere in here, automatic ore smelting, automatic solar tracking, and all the basic machines up and running. So that's a pretty good start, and then really from here it's a question of building more automation and more fun stuff. So we'll do some of that on the next video.